Ladies and gentlemen, our top story, the Trump versus universities row continues to escalate. The United States has now temporarily halted the scheduling of new student visa interviews at its embassies worldwide. Now, this pause comes as the Trump administration prepares to implement stricter rules requiring more extensive social media screening of foreign students who are applying for visas in the U.S. The directive was issued by U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio. According to the cable, consular offices have been instructed to stop scheduling new appointments for student and exchange visitor visas while updated guidelines on social media vetting are finalized. Now, this move is part of the administration's broader effort to tighten immigration policies, which includes increased deportations and the potential revocation of student visas. International students and applicants are now left anxiously awaiting further details on how these changes may impact their plans to study in the United States of America. Now, let's tell you how the Indian students figured in United States of America. In 2023-24, there were about 3,31,602. In the previous years, it was 2,68,923 students. In 2021, that number was at 1,99,182. Previous to that, it was 1,67,582. And, the number in 2018-19 was at 2,014. So that, of course, has been the number of Indian students. There's been an upward trend also. But now, of course, that might deteriorate with the kind of decisions that are being taken by the Trump administration. Let me quickly go across to my colleague, Srinjoy Chaudhary, who will help us get an understanding of what this means. Srinjoy, the Trump administration continues to crack down on immigrants. Now, of course, the foreign students are on the radar. But what does this mean for the lakhs of Indian students who aspire to study in the United States of America for their higher education?
Well, there are two things here. First of all, every year about 1 lakh or more Indian students go to America to study at all levels, undergrad, grad school, PhD, various levels. So that's one. Secondly, now what is going to happen is that all these applications will get a relook. In a sense, people will ask, what is their political, ideological, social position? That means, do they support a woke ideology? Is a question that will be asked. Do they support something that Trump administration does not like or does not favor? That's another question they will ask. There could be a check on whether there were any references to Palestine and what the position of these students were. That is one. So there can be a paring down on that basis.
Okay.
Secondly, even if everything is in order as far as the State Department is concerned, it will mean enormous pressure on the consulates and the embassy itself, because there are, as I said, perhaps 1 lakh and plus students who want to apply. We are already at the end of May. There's just June, July, and August, after which the sessions begin in late August and early September. So how are all these students going to get themselves for visas if the clearance vis-a-vis this?
Absolutely, Srinjoy. So there are, of course, serious concerns that have come to the fore after this particular decision. Thanks very much, Srinjoy, for joining us at the moment, getting us a perspective of what this means. On the broadcast, to help us understand how this impacts your child who might be aspiring to study in the United States of America is Naveen Chopra, founder and chairperson, the Chopra's TC Global, as well as Pradeep Rawat, who is, of course, a voice of a parent and several parents who might be very, very concerned at the moment. Good morning and namaskar to both of you gentlemen. Pradeep Rawat, can I understand from you first what is the first thought as a parent that comes to your mind when you see a decision like this being taken at a peak time when, this is the time when the student visa interviews do take place for people to go and study for higher education in the United States of America?
Thank you, Shreya, first of all, for having me on the show. It's actually a fact that suddenly every second day, a new kind of rule comes up, especially for students.
Yeah.
And you, as well as I, very well know that anything that happens to a rule regarding the students going to America or US, that affects all the parents, especially the ones who are interested in sending their children to the higher studies.
Yeah.
Problem is parents do not understand a children who's aspiring to go to US. He or she might have made a simple post on anything which is going around and running around on social media, but that single post could actually bar her or him from going to US for higher studies. So what I need to understand is how come a simple harmless post which was made on social media could impact the whole career of a child or a student, and that
Pradeep, hold
actually.
that thought. Let me get in Naveen Chopra into this. Naveen Chopra, are these social media posts as simple and harmless as perhaps we would like them to be, or we think they are? Because there are several cases, and there are still cases in the present where students have been very heavily involved in politics, in wars, and of course, the US college campuses and university campuses have also been very, very sharply divided when it comes to wars and protests surrounding it. Are they harmless, and should that be a consideration then by a country to bar people from coming for higher education?
Well, look, they're absolutely harmless, and it is the norm for human discourse. Also, the tragedy here is that the United States is the country that has been the flag bearer of freedom of speech and freedom of thought, which is now being hammered by President Trump. I think that the people who are laughing all the way are Xi Jinping and Putin, because they don't need to attack America. The president of America is attacking America very, very, very well. The United States has been built to the preeminent position that it has been built because of the policies and practices that came into being 200 years ago and were embedded over the 200-year period, which have been decimated in a matter of weeks by our new president. He doesn't seem to realize that he himself is a German extraction, if I'm not mistaken. Elon Musk is South African extraction. Most of the scientific developments and the technology that has happened, the building of the United States has happened with people who have migrated from other countries, third countries. The US has been the dream. China is not the dream, although he's making sure that it'll become the dream. But China is not the dream. The USA is the dream. This is where dreams are fulfilled. This is where you go and you are, your whole persona is extended. So they are actually shutting down the best minds that exist on planet Earth, because it's the best minds who have been going to the United States consistently for decades. Okay. So this is going to boomerang. The MAGA movement, the Make America Great Again, I really don't understand. America is already great. What do you mean by Make America Great Again? I mean, in actual fact, you're destroying it. And most of the people who are his supporters, the MAGA supporters, are people who are the majority of them. I mean, there are, college graduates also who are supporting him. But a large number are high school, or school sort of pass outs, for whom brawn muscle is greater than brain.
Okay. I'm afraid I'll have to wrap this up here. Apologies, I have paucity of time and we have breaking news coming in. But thanks very much to all of you for joining us at the moment, sharing your perspective.